And now to another story generating controversy today. Canada Post says it's phasing out mail home delivery in urban areas across Canada. It's part of a massive cost-cutting program for the Crown Corporation, losing money and relevance in an increasingly high-tech world. As Richard Zussman reports, the program will also lead to significant job losses.
It's Rebecca Mahar's daily routine, going door to door in North Vancouver, walking her route. But that's going to change.
We're going to lose customer service, security. Starting 2014, community mailboxes. There will be no more door-to-door delivery. It's a huge change.
Canada Post says it's delivering on a promise to modernize, meaning customers in urban centres will receive all their mail in community mailboxes.
I think it's too soon for this to come in, and I think the public deserves a say in this.
They should keep trying to cut back, but they cut back at the wrong things.
Mahar heard a lot of feedback this morning on her delivery route.
I like to have things delivered, and everyone cuts back, and it's so silly. I mean, they're very important.
The digital age, everything's being sent that way. So, yeah, I think they've got to jump on the bandwagon and make a big change.
But at what cost? Canada Post claims home delivery is twice the cost of putting mail in community boxes. But the union representing 3,000 postal workers in BC says with cost cutting comes security risk.
It creates, in one sense, I guess, a one-stop shop for thieves. I mean, you're putting all of the information all in one place, where we do have, unfortunately, a great deal of break-ins.
It's not just home delivery that's changing. The price of the stamps will change as well. Now a stamp costs 63 cents. Under the new policy, if you buy just one, it will cost $1. Postage prices will rise in March, the first step in a cost-cutting plan to be phased in over 5 years. But for two-thirds of Canadians, the changes won't mean much. Rural communities and apartment buildings already use community boxes.
Without major changes, Canada Post was facing losses of $1 billion a year by 2020.
The corporation says the changes will save up to $900 million a year. Part of that will be through job cuts. Canada Post says 8,000 jobs like Rebecca Mahar's will disappear. Richard Zussman, CBC News, North Vancouver.
Well, as you just heard, Canada Post's move toward community mailbox delivery is raising concerns about security, and for good reason.
Next delivery, doesn't say.
Last summer, documents obtained by CBC showed community mailboxes are frequently tampered with. Canada Post recorded nearly 5,000 incidents across the province in just 5 years. Moving away from door-to-door delivery and toward community mailboxes has some people worried about theft of their personal information.
Once the thieves can get hold of your private information, I mean, they can go and clean your bank account and no problem.
Well, Canada Post has installed anti-pry devices on some newer mailboxes, but this still hasn't solved the problem. So what could Canada Post look like moving forward, and how will changes impact Canadians? Joining me now to discuss this is retail analyst Ian Thomas. Welcome to you, Ian. So how will the changes potentially affect consumers and businesses?
Well, I think it's the writing's been on the wall for many years. Just think personally how little you use the post office now. You know,
it's so special to get a stamped letter, isn't it?
It is. and you know, when you read in the U.S. where the U.S. post office is losing over $1 billion a day, you can just see that we're in the same plight, and how the post office, in order to still remain a viable institution, clearly has to reinvent itself very quickly.
And what could that reinvention look like?
Well, they've obviously got competition from, you know, other distribution companies like FedEx, DHL, and they themselves are having their work cut out for themselves. You know, there's that tongue-in-cheek ad, you know, with FedEx, where when you go on vacation, you can send your golf clubs ahead to avoid all the hassle. And, you know, that's one way of providing, you know, possibly a viable example. But I think what the post office has to do is start thinking of itself as more a distribution center. You know, the reason they've got the problem is everyone's doing everything online, and yet you still want bricks to come, you know, from that. You know, how does the merchandise get to you? So they can be actually, if they thought it through, possibly become more a distribution center.
Okay, any examples of that where that's been done successfully?
Well, Well, a lot of them are, you know, these are, yeah, you know, it's early days. You know, and you know, another example of how, you know, retailers and companies are reinventing themselves is what Indigo Chapters Books, you know, is doing. You know, they bill themselves now not as a bookstore, but as a cultural department store. So to their books and Kindle and all that, they've added toys, home accessories, gifts, and along with the poetry readings and the Starbucks coffee shop. It's a very different store than it was just, you know, 5-6 years ago.
So we could go collect our online purchases at Canada Post and have a coffee and sit and have a read at the same time.
Yes, that's right.
Ian, thanks very much for your time today.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you, Gloria.
Now, Canada Post has seen a dramatic decline in the volume of mail it delivers. Ian just touched on that, but here are some of the numbers. Last year, the Postal Service delivered 9.8 billion pieces of domestic mail. That is 255 million fewer than it delivered in 2011 and 2 billion fewer than it delivered in 2008. An overall decline of more than 23%. The average cost of door-to-door mail delivery is $283 per address per year, while the average cost of group or community mailbox delivery is $108. So phasing out door-to-door mail delivery is expected to save the company up to $500 million annually.